Howdy, my name is Asad Ali. I will be demoing the PA1, which is client program speaking to a server today. To start off, I will first show. Uh, okay, so first I will show how my program works, and I will first make the program, which is already made. Secondly, what I'm going to do is, sorry, I'm going to delete this stuff so that I can do it again. Let me delete these files so I can truncate and show how the truncate command works. Delete this, and then delete these two. Okay. All right, so to start off, I'm going to first just run the /client to show that the program is running correctly. All processes are complete, the channel has closed, server terminated, everything's running good. So to start off, as part of the first demo, I'm going to run a client command, which will include the person, which is in this case, let's say person 8. We will use a time. So with the time, whenever we specify a time, what's going to happen is that one second. Okay, so whenever we specify this time right here, what's going to happen is that we're going to get 1 point because we're telling the program we want person 8, we want the time, and then we want the ECG1. So basically when we run this, it's going to show us one data point process for the person, and it's going to show us that at 0.04 seconds, the person's ECG1 was negative 0.4. And we can see it ran perfectly. It shows us the time that it ran, and all processes were completed correctly. So now we're going to move on, and we're going to remove the time, and then we'll change the person, say, to person 10, and we're going to change the ECDG. We could change it to the second one, let's say. So what this will do is it will create 1,000 data point file called x1.csv, and let me just go ahead and delete this existing CSV file so that we can see how it is created. So whenever I click enter, we can see that we got an x1.csv file right here. And if we click it, we will see two columns. The first column is for the time, and the second column right here is the ECG2 for person 10. So let's say so this is the time values on the left column, and the right column is ECG2. Now, if we do not add any ECG, and let's say we want to do person 4 now, so if we run this command, what will happen is that we will, instead of 2 columns now, we will get 3 columns. As such, the first column is the time, the second column is the ECG1. So, excuse me. So this is ECG1 right here in the second column that is being shown. And then the third column will be ECG2. This is because we haven't specified the ECG we want to look at. So the program will show you both of the ECGs for the person that you specified, which is person 4. Okay. So that is the requesting data points. Also, we have to show that we were using the get time of day function. So I will show that now. If I go to my client.cpp and scroll up to where the parent process starts, which is right here. So this is where the parent process for the client side starts. We scroll down, we could see that right here in the first part of the program that is testing. I'm using the get time of day function to start. Then when the program finishes, I end it and I calculate the total execution time and count it out, which is happening right here. The total execution time is this much seconds. So As per the request in the assignment, I am using the getTimeOfDay function. Second part asks us to request files. So I will do that now. I come here and I can, one second. Okay, so let's say I want to copy over a file into received, which is for 8.csv. Say I want to copy over 8.csv, which will be done like that. And we could see it got added into the receive folder. It said it took a total time of 0.03 something seconds, and it terminated correctly. So now let's see if there's any differences between the original file and the file that we copied over. So 8.csv, and then we could try the 8.csv. Okay, so now when I click enter, it should show nothing because there should be no difference, and like that shows nothing. So that is a good thing. It copied over correctly. So now we're gonna move on to where we let me just make sure. So we did this, we checked the difference command. So now we're gonna use any file type. So now, for example, what I will do is I will go back here and I will truncate a file. Let's call it 100.dat. 100.dat. So when I click enter, it should create a 100.dat file inside the main repository, and then what I will do is I will create copy over that 100.dat file into the receive folder, and that just happened. So now I will see if there's a difference between the 100.dat that we got and the 100.dat file that we copied over, and there should be no difference as seen. Okay, so now let's try it for another file size. Let's say we want for 1,000 and 1,000. So I truncate. I will change this to 1,000. And then I will find out the difference for that 1,000.dat, and I will enter, and there's no difference. So now let's say we want to use as per the instructions, let's say we want to use a larger file size, transferring larger, 100 MB, for example. Let's do that. So now what I'm going to do is 100 MB. I'm going to truncate 100 MB file, MB. Oh, sorry, capital MB dot, and then run. It truncated. I will copy over MB. It's going to take a little bit of time because it's a larger file copying over, and it completed in 9 seconds. Okay, and then we will calculate the difference. 100 MB. I mean, I didn't really have to call it 100 MB, but it makes sense. Okay, so now we're going to find the difference between the 100 MB.dat and received in the BIMDC. There is no difference. So that is a good thing again, because it worked. So requesting files, we did everything, and it looks to be good. Next part of our question is to request a new channel, and that is done by this following code. I will do /client, and I will do -c. This will create a new channel, and it will channel 2, and it will, after the processes are complete, it will close the channel and server will terminate. So the new channel, as you can see, is being created and everything is being done properly. Okay, so I hope I answered the requesting a new channel part of the question. Run the server as a child process. Okay, So as you can see, or as I might have already said, my code is running with the fork process, forking the server process. So basically, we are using the process ID to fork, and this is the child process for the server side. And then below it, the else, it's an if and else statement for fork. And the else has the parent process for the client side, which uses the client side to do majority of the code. And that is where the majority of the code is placed. So you can see that I have used fork in this program. One of the benefits of using fork is that before I was using these two terminals, as you can see, in order to compile the code and run it. And now that I use fork, I am able to do it in one terminal. And you could see that I'm doing that right here inside the VS Code terminal. Um, Instead of two terminals, I'm able to use one terminal to finish the code or compile the code, I would rather say. Okay, so run the server as a child process. Run the server process as a child. Okay. Um, Also make sure that you have no open connections and at the end no temporary files are remaining. So using the quit message. So I will show that now. So in the end of the program, when everything is done, compiled, everything is copied over, everything basically when everything is done, you could see that over here I have a quit message and a quit message. And what that quit message does is basically closes everything out correctly. And then over here you could see the temporary buffer and the buffer that I created over here. I deleted those two so that no memory is wasted, lost, and everything is deleted and ended in order correctly and perfectly, which is the question that was asked for closing the channels. So I made sure that the quit message is applied correctly at the end and no open connection, no temporary files remain in the directory either. Okay. Finally, we can see that the report is the only thing left. So I will be submitting that on eCampus with a link to the YouTube video, which you're probably watching right now. And yeah, so I hope that this is sufficient enough for the demo part of the lab grade. Um, and I hope I hit all the pointers. And if there's any background noise, I apologize. I have some family relatives over. And yeah, thank you very much for tuning in.